Hey, I'm glad you made it back for part 2 of our Parts of Speech series on nouns. Last video, you learned what a noun is and the different types of nouns. How about we play a quick game to review? Just like last time, you can choose the answers with this controller. So, first question is, which is the correct definition of a noun? Yes, that's correct. You just earned 100 points. Next question. These nouns are used to name a general type of person, place, thing, or idea. Wow, you got it right again. Now you have 200 points. Third question. These nouns name one specific person, place, thing, or idea. Right again. Wow, you're at 300 points. Now, here's the final question. These nouns name things that you can physically touch or see and perceive with your 5 senses. That's correct. Awesome. Now you have 400 points. Well, that was such a fun review. How about we get started on our second video on nouns? So, after this video, you will know how to spot a noun in a sentence and the functions or jobs of nouns. Let's find out how to spot a noun in a sentence. So with every sentence, I like to ask myself a few questions. Let's take a look at our first sentence. Brittany lifts weights at the gym. Simply ask yourself first, is there a person or any people in this sentence? Yes, Brittany. Brittany is a person. Second, we ask ourselves what words in the sentence are places. You got it. Gym is a place. Third, we ask what words in the sentence are things. Yep, you got it again. Weights are things. And last, we ask what words in the sentence are ideas. Right, there are no ideas in the sentence. So, we've spotted all the nouns in this sentence. Awesome. Let's take a look at another sentence. So we have, the book was much like the movie. So we ask ourselves the same questions. Is there a person or people in this sentence? Nope, no people. Second, we ask ourselves what words in the sentence are places. I knew this would trick some of you. In this sentence, the word movie is talking about the film, not the movie theater, which is a place. So there's no places in this sentence. Third, we know from what we just stated that movie is a thing, right? So we're going to put movie there. Are there any other things in the sentence? You got it. Book is also a thing. And last, any ideas? Right, there are no ideas in this sentence. So again, we spotted all the nouns in this sentence. So as you can see, spotting a noun in a sentence is pretty easy. You just ask yourselves if there are any people, places, things, or ideas. Now that we've covered that, it's time to learn the functions or jobs of nouns. Nouns can do lots of things in sentences. They have the ability to perform different functions or jobs in sentences, and each time, it still fits the answer to the questions of what is a noun. Let's take a look at some noun jobs. The noun jobs are subject, direct objects, indirect objects, object of preposition, predicate nouns, object complements, and appositives. Let's take a closer look at each job. Subjects are nouns that tell us who or what the sentence is about. For example, in this sentence, pizza is delicious. In order to find the subject, we must ask ourselves who or what the sentence is about. Another easy trick is to find the verb first. So in this case, the verb is the word is. So we ask the question, who or what is delicious? And the answer is pizza. Therefore, pizza is the subject. Let's try another one. Okay, so remember, subjects tell us who or what the sentence is about. So the sentence we have here says, the quarterback threw the football. In order to find the subject, we can simply ask ourselves who or what the sentence is about, or we can find the verb first. So in this case, threw is the verb, and then we ask who or what threw the football. And the answer is quarterback. So quarterback is the subject. Now there are times when there can be two or more subjects in a sentence. Before we take a look at an example, remember, in order to find the subject, we can simply ask ourselves who or what the sentence is about, or we can find the verb first. So now we have the sentence here. It says strawberries, apples, and bananas are my favorite fruits. So in this case, are is the verb, and then we ask who or what are my favorite fruits. And the answer are the words strawberries, apples, bananas. It's important to note that the word and is not part of the subject. How about we move on to the next function of nouns, which is direct objects. Oh yes, and you may have noticed a few changes in the background as well. So what are direct objects? Direct objects are words that receive the action of transitive verbs. If you're not familiar with what a transitive verb is, no worries, it's really simple. Let's take a 30-second commercial break to explain. There are two ways to spot a transitive verb. First, it must be an action verb. And second, it has to have something or someone who receives the action of the verb, or as we are learning today, a direct object. So we have the sentence, Bill wrote a love poem to Helen. So we see it has an action verb of wrote and something that is receiving the action, which is the word poem. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program. And we're back. Now, before we took that quick break, we learned that direct objects are words that receive the action of transitive verbs. And now that we know what a transitive verb is, let's go ahead and take a look at some sentences. In the first sentence, fell is an action verb, but there is no need for another word to complete the action or meaning. Therefore, fell in this sentence is an intransitive verb, and there is no direct object. This is also true in the second sentence. Ran is an action verb, and again, no need for another word to complete the action. However, in the third sentence, kicked is the action verb, and we do need the word ball to complete the meaning. So ball is the direct object, and kicked is a transitive verb. And in the fourth sentence, poured is the action verb, and we need the word lemonade to complete the meaning. So poured is a transitive verb, and lemonade is the direct object. All action verbs don't use or need other words to complete their meaning. However, when they do, these words are called direct objects. So, how do we find direct objects in a sentence? In order to find the direct object, we must first find the subject and verb, and then we ask this question. Whom or what did the, and then fill in the subject and verb. Let's look at our sentence. The girl kicked the ball. Remember, in order to find the subject, we can ask who or what the sentence is about, or we can find the verb first. We see the action verb kicked, so we ask, who kicked to find the subject? So now we know the subject and verb is girl kicked. Now in order to find the direct object, we must ask whom or what, and fill in the subject and verb. So we ask, whom or what the girl kicked. And we see the direct object is, you got it, ball. Easy peasy. Next, let's take a look at the next function of nouns, which are indirect objects. Indirect objects are the receivers of the direct object. It's important to remember two things about indirect objects. The first one is that a sentence must have a direct object in order to have an indirect object. And the indirect object always comes between the verb and the direct object. Let's look at this sentence. Jeremiah gave his brother the game. First, we must see if it has a direct object, so we find the subject and verb. Jeremiah is who the sentence is about, and gave is the action. Next, we see if there is a direct object by asking, whom or what did Jeremiah give? I want to stop here for a second to point out that so many times people get confused when asking this question when it comes to direct and indirect objects. So let's ask this question again. Whom or what did Jeremiah give? So many people mistakenly say brother. However, did he give his brother? No, he did not give his brother. He gave what? Yes, the game. Awesome. So now we know that yes, there is a direct object, which is game. So now, in order to find if there is and what the indirect object is, we ask, Jeremiah gave the game to whom? And your answer is brother. So brother is the indirect object. How about we look at one more? We see here the sentence, Christian sang his sister a song. So first, we must see if it has a direct object. So we find the subject and verb. Christian is who the sentence is about, and sang is the action, which is the verb. Next, we see if there is a direct object by asking, whom or what did Christian sing? Did he sing his sister? No, he did not. He sang what? Yes, a song. So now we know that yes, there is a direct object, which is song. So now, in order to find if there is and what the indirect object is, we ask, yes, Christian sang the song to whom? And your answer is sister. So sister is the indirect object. Awesome, awesome work. Now, let's go ahead and move on to our next function of nouns, which is object of prepositions. Objects of prepositions are simply nouns that come after prepositions in a phrase. In order to spot these, it's important to know what a preposition is. So, I think it's time for a 30-second commercial break. Prepositions are words that show the relationship between a noun or a pronoun and some other word in the sentence. Also, they are always found in prepositional phrases. Here are a list of all of the prepositions. However, since this is only a 30-second commercial, I can't show all of them. But no worries. We'll have a lesson in the future on prepositions, and when it's posted, I'll put it right here for you to watch. Back to our regularly scheduled program. And we are back from our commercial break. So as we learned, a preposition is a word that shows the relationship between a noun or a pronoun and some other word in the sentence, and it's always found in prepositional phrases. Now, the noun that is found in that prepositional phrase is the object of the preposition. Let's take a look at some examples of these phrases. The first example is at the store. At is the preposition, and store is the object of the preposition. The second example is through the meadows. Through is the preposition, and meadows is the object of the preposition. Now let's look at these prepositional phrases in an actual sentence. So we have George saw Gabrielle at the store. Once you're familiar with prepositions, it will be easy to spot them out in sentences. So in this sentence, the preposition is at, as we see here, and the object of the preposition is store. The next sentence is, the children ran through the meadows. Through is the preposition, and meadows is the object of the preposition. You've been working so hard during this lesson, and I really appreciate it. Currently, you're looking like this, but I don't want you to start looking like this. So, I think it's time for a 5-minute brain break. During a brain break, you'll step away from the computer and give your brain a break from all of this learning. Trust me, it works. So get up and stretch. Turn on some tunes and dance around the room. Take a quick walk or run around the house or around the block. Do some push-ups or anything else you would like. Just as long as you are taking an actual brain break and doing some type of movement. Oh, and I'll be watching you to make sure that you're doing it. While we take this 5-minute brain break, I'll play some music that you can jam to. When the music stops, that's when the 5 minutes is over, and I'll meet you back here and we'll continue our lesson. See you in 5. Yay! So you made it back. Now don't you feel refreshed and ready to take on the world? Awesome. Now before you take on the world, I just have 3 more functions or jobs of nouns to cover. The first of the 3 is predicate nouns. Predicate nouns or nominatives are words that complete a linking verb and renames the subject. Before we look at some examples, here are the linking verbs. Now, let's look at a few examples of predicate nominatives in a sentence. The first example is, Emilio is my brother. We see the linking verb is, and we know that the subject is Emilio. So the word brother is the predicate nominative. Remember, linking verbs are like equal signs in math. So Emilio equals brother is a true statement. The second example is her favorite toy is her doll. We see the linking verb is, and we know that the subject is toy. So the word doll is the predicate nominative, and toy equals doll. Well, we're moving on to our last 2 functions of nouns. Objective complements. Objective complements are words that complete the meaning of a direct object by identifying or describing it. As we can see from the definition, in order for the sentence to have an objective complement, it also has to have a direct object. Let's take a look at an example. They elected my uncle mayor. The word they is the subject, elected is the transitive verb, and uncle is the direct object. Now just saying they elected my uncle doesn't really seem clear. But if you add another word that identifies or describes the direct object, it makes the sentence clearer. So we have the word mayor, which completes the meaning, and it is the objective complement. Let's look at another example. Our coach named me team captain. We can point out the subject, verb, and direct object as we see here. And similar to the previous sentence, just saying our coach named me isn't very clear, so the objective complement captain completes the meaning of the direct object. We are down to our last function of a noun. I bet you never realized just how busy nouns are with all these jobs. Our very last function we have to cover are appositives. Appositives are simply nouns that rename other nouns. It's really just extra information in a sentence. It's usually set off by commas, unless it's closely tied to the word that it identifies or renames, and it can be one word or a combination of words. It's also important not to confuse appositives with predicate nominatives. A verb will separate the subject from the predicate nominative, while an appositive can follow any noun or pronoun, including the subject, direct object, or predicate nominative. Let's take a look at this sentence. My friend Anne loves eating ice cream. We see the word Anne set off by commas, which renames which word? Correct. It renames friend. Therefore, Anne is an appositive. Let's try another one. Christian, my friend, owes me $200. Although my friend isn't set off by commas, we see it closely identifies the word Christian. Therefore, my friend is the appositive. Let's try one more sentence just to seal the deal. Okay, so here we have my brother's bedroom, the biggest disaster area in the house, is a collection of dirty plates, old mail, and empty candy wrappers. As we see, the biggest disaster area in the house is set off by commas, and it is identifying the word bedroom. Therefore, the words the biggest disaster area in the house is the appositive. Well, you know what? This is the point in the video where I tell you, hey, it's been fun, but I gotta go. But don't get too sad, because I'll see you in the next video. Matter of fact, when you have processed everything from this video, click here for a review. Don't tell anyone, but I hear it's a pretty fun game. Well, I gotta go.